Good morning, good people. Good morning, fellow humans. And yes, we spell that Huemonds, humans, colorful nuts, because that's what we is. I think that's the best description. Today is Tuesday, November 4th, 2025. Wow, this month is flying by already. Almost 1 week done. And then that next week, then the week after that, and then Thanksgiving. Wow. Crazy. Okay, well, here we are. And this is week 1, day 2. Or for people from Pahrump, Kentucky, it's day 2 of week 1. However you want to see it. Week 1, day 2, or day 2 of week 1. This is about IQ. The essence of IQ. Why IQ is so important, what it is, why it's so important. So we're going to be talking about that. First, let's talk about good morning, Watnada Bebby. Good morning, good morning. Let's talk about advice from an 80-year-old. Begin each day with some of your favorite music. Why would we want to do that? I don't know. Maybe Seth Godin can help us. And the title of his talk today is, But I Didn't Know. The second time you install vacuum tubes into a handmade 2A3 stereo amplifier, you'll know that 2 of the 4 pins are slightly larger than the other 2. And you'll know that the tubes go in pretty easily. You don't have to force them. You may know these things because the first time you did it, you pushed really hard and wrecked the tube. Experience has easily measured value. It's important. Don't hire a rookie. Right, don't hire a rookie. Experience has easily measured value. Right, we can tell the value of experience. Good. Okay, thank you, Seth Godin. See anything? Oh, yeah. Darren Hardy, good one today. I'm going to put that one in red letter. He's talking about charisma, where it comes from, how it works. Yes, charisma. Charismaness. Charismia. Right. Okay, charisma. Next. Okay, today is a big day while we're searching around. Today is a big day. How are things for you, Watnada Betty? Today is if we look at from the corporal works of mercy, taking people to Vegas for medical mental health, picking up coats for kids, clothing kids in need this winter, meeting to talk about housing and other related things. Meeting a lawyer to talk about the indigent defendant thing. Hetza. I'm talking about Hetza. And picking the people up and bringing them back. It's going to be a long, action-packed day. Okay. So blessed. Okay, Sophie's on blessed, not on blast. And let's see, I wonder how Diana's doing, how Matt is doing. Matt, those guys should be getting up by now. Okay, today's TED Talk is about IQ, why it is important. What is IQ? Okay, there's two types of IQ, crystallized IQ and fluid IQ. All right, intelligence quotient, not EQ, emotional quotient. So intelligence quotient, crystallized IQ and fluid IQ. Crystallized Q is what you know. It's what is used to measure things like for the LSAT, the SAT, the GMAT, all of those aptitude tests. Those are crystallized IQ tests measuring what you know. And an easy way to think about it is imagine a bucket, and on it are different lines based upon age and or grade in school, for example. So at the end of the 6th grade, you should be up to this line. And then you have the SAT, which basically measures what you should know by the time you get out of high school and beyond. Not and beyond high school, but what you should know and beyond. So a perfect SAT would mean you know more than what you need to know, what you should know by the time you graduate from high school across these various domains. LSAT, the line keeps getting higher. ASVAB, there's a line for that. So crystallized IQ is measuring where you are versus where the standard is set based upon other people. And it works pretty well. That is crystallized IQ. Now, if we go back a day to Dr. Amen, the way you can think of the need for a Brain Smart program is you have a leaky bucket. The things that you used to know, you don't know anymore. Okay, so you have brain damage. So the bucket is leaky. Stuff is running out. And a Brain Smart program adds more stuff to the bucket that's like the stuff that is leaking out. So it could be you're forgetting the names of people in your family. So it could be looking at pictures of people in your family and talking about the people in your family. So you're recreating new memories of them. Okay, that's crystallized IQ. Well, how does crystallized IQ get into your brain? One, probably I don't think it's the only way, but a major way is through the fluid IQ. That would be like a pump that takes all of this information that's out there around us and brings it in to something that makes sense, that we know and that we can remember. Fluid IQ. And the question, and the rate at which you fill the pump is dependent upon, you fill the bucket is dependent upon how efficiently the pump works. So here we get back to Daniel Amen. If you damage the pump, you're not going to fill the bucket very well. And another way to look at IQ, per Jordan Peterson, is people with IQs, they just figure it out first. Whatever the challenge is, whatever the problem is, people with higher IQs figure it out first. Well, let's break it down. It could be because they have a lot of stuff in the bucket. The bucket is really full and they have the ability to access it quickly. Boom, oh yeah, I remember this, or this is like that, or this is not like that. And they have the ability to figure out quickly. Or the pump is good of, okay, how do I get knowledge? How do I figure this out? How can I solve this problem? They just figure it out sooner. And so over several iterations, say years, people with a higher IQ, they figure things out faster. They get way ahead of the people who don't have a high IQ. The challenge is our confirmation bias. So it turns out by the third grade, you start noticing and start having ideas of whether you're smart or not based upon other kids in the classroom, how you do. If you're somebody who finishes fast and gets them right, you start developing ideas that you're smart. If you don't finish or you don't get a lot of them right, you start getting the idea you're wrong. By the sixth grade, that starts forming your identity, or maybe your identity is locked in. So by the ninth grade, if you're back here and the other people are up here, you tend to check out. I don't want to play this game anymore because I keep losing. I'm going to play this other game, this cool game, this reefer game, this whatever game. That's what I'm going to play. Now, that's not everyone. That's not everyone, but for our purposes, focusing on the IQ, it is. So people who drop out of high school, generally, it's because they're not doing well. You don't have a lot of people who are getting A's and high school is great, and they say, I'm quitting. Not a lot to do that. They might do it by the time they get to college because they've proven the things, but we're getting far afield. So IQ. Why is it important in life? Why is it important in work? Well, it turns out that every job out there has an IQ range. Here's the minimum IQ you need to be able to do the job, and here's the IQ here's the point where if your IQ is higher than that, you lose interest, you don't really do that well. Okay, so there's the range. And each of us, when we have a job, we should first of all know what our IQ is. Here's my IQ. So I should look for jobs where my IQ is in this range. Okay, now if my IQ is here, I'm barely able to do the job. When I go home at night, I'm generally tired, a little bit frustrated, not really feeling great. When the other employees talk about me, they always talk about me in a negative sort of way. That guy, yeah, he screwed up again. He this, he's that, he's not that good. Okay, so you don't want to be down here. Here is a similar sort of problem in that it's boring. This job is boring, so you don't really pay as much attention to it. You don't really care as much about it because it's boring. And the other employees think of you as, not in a positive way because they're struggling to do the job or they enjoy the job. So you might think the ideal place is to be right there in the middle, but that's not where you want to be because that's where the average people are. They're not thought of as good. They're not thought of as bad. They're just really not thought of. They're just there. You don't want to be there. You want to be at about 25 percentile or 75th percentile if you're going from the bottom. You want to be there. You want to be in a place where the job is still challenging, it's still fun, but it's not too hard. And you're doing well. You're getting noticed. You become the go-to guy. In the talk, Jordan Peterson talks about a company called Wonderlic. And we do have the Wonderlic test. We used to give it all the time. But as Not a Bevy can tell you, it's are kind of disastrous because a lot of people who are not doing well, who got out of prison, say their life is in ruins, but they say, or they go to China, okay, or they say, well, school was boring, so I quit, type of thing. but I had a genius IQ when I was young. My IQ, I'm a genius. It's just school is not good enough for me. Then they take the test, and then they find out, ugh, ugh, my IQ sucks. I'm not as smart as I thought I was. Something's wrong with this test. And so it was very disastrous because people didn't take it as a reality check. They took it as a, I don't want to accept this as true. I'm comfortable in my little bubble of I'm smart and the rest of the world is against me. Yikes. So we don't do the Wonderlic test anymore. We should, probably need to educate people more of what to expect, but I kind of don't want to do that because I don't want to skew where the test, the purpose point of the test, etc. So we aren't giving the test, but we can. The other thing about Wonderlic is it tells you, and it's in the video, it tells you here are the jobs that fit your IQ. So if you're thinking about being a policeman, you need an IQ. You don't even have to have an average IQ. You can be slightly below average. Why? Well, because they're really looking for people who are obedient, not who can think. Every peace officer is taught there's two laws, the spirit of the law and the letter of the law. And they have to have discernment of which to use. Well, that takes a high IQ. So it's easier to hire people who have a lower IQ, and you say you have this, but you really stress what they need to do is be obedient. So then they will just enforce the laws. They won't question the laws, and they won't apply common sense to a law and say, for example, like an unjust law is no law. This is not fair to this person to punish him that way. The punishment is greater, or the punishment isn't adequate. The person isn't going to learn the law. In fact, it will encourage them. So if this person is shoplifting to feed a drug habit, and I want to apply the spirit of the law, I might say, well, the spirit of the law is to counsel, to basically say, look, I could bust you, I could do this, I could do that. I'm not going to do it. I promise not to do this, and go to counseling or go to an NA meeting or something like that. And of course, that doesn't work because the person still has the drug problem, the need for drugs, and they think they got away with it. They think they think that they're better than they are. Where, the cop might have said, it's not going to be fair to do this, so I'll just have a talk with them. I'll just scare them, or I'll do this, or I'll love them, or I'll do that. And so they try to apply the spirit of the law, but they don't have an IQ high enough to successfully do it. So they make matters worse by trying to apply the spirit of the law versus, well, if I apply the letter of the law, at least I won't get in trouble because I'm just doing what the law says. And thus, if the sheriff hires people for obedience, if that's one of the main things, not intelligence, obedience is one of the main things, then at least you know how people are going to act. Okay, so we're at 1904. What is our takeaway? Our takeaways are, there's a few of them. One, understand how important IQ is. And if your pump is working, you can continue to fill the bucket. That's why the second thing here, learning, is so important. A, B, C. A, always B, B, C, learning. Always be learning. It's good for your brain. It keeps the bucket full. As things change, technology changes in life, you can keep up with it. Always be learning. That's one thing. Another thing, when you go into a job, ask, what is the IQ? What's the required IQ? What is my IQ? And you can take all kinds of little online IQ tests. But we're running out of time. Got a lot to do today. Time is racing. Hasta la vista.